I told you this guy's a genius.
Self-proclaimed, maybe.
Well, as long as it works for him.
Exactly my point.
Awesome.
Okay. No. I decided to make shorter videos, just for now. Because rendering takes up a lot of time and space. And I also want to do other things. Maybe I will still cut them all together. It's just for me also to make a cut. This is done, moving on. This is done, moving on. Now something came up, it says, we're all living together. I can't help it. If I hear these messages and I know there is, all this beauty and you can walk around and you can, touch each other and hold each other and say, oh wow, life is so nice, But how often do you really feel that? Well, I don't feel it too often. I feel it sometimes, but not always. I feel it sometimes, and when I don't feel it and I forget it, I continue to be creative. And I remember that this is how you can feel because I've already felt it. And that's the compass. Think Pocahontas now. It's the compass of her heart. And what I did not like about the story, come on. He was shot. And you want to tell me that the Indians did not know how to cure a shot, a gun wound? You want to tell me that? Why are indigenous people always depicted like savages? Just because they have different ways. I don't get it. Why can't we just accept that they have a different kind of knowledge? And that's the knowledge of the heart. That's the kind of knowledge that you get by listening, by quieting down, and by connecting with spirit, which is what you have in yourself and which is what you have in nature. You also have spirit in cities, of course, but it's a different kind of spirit, And there's a lot of competition in the forest. All these plants, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for survival. And the best way, I think, to show you is if you look at footage from the Amazonian rainforest, for instance, where they take like a macro camera. There's people. When you take a macro camera and you record something and then you speed it up, you fast forward it. So many things. Some people have dogs. I've got a camera. Guten Tag. And I see people, they look at me, they smile, I think, why are you smiling? But they're smiling and, I say hello, but I'm not sure. Why are you smiling? I cannot really say. All I know is that there are people that are smiling. Hey, the smallest dog in the world. Ja, das dachte ich mir. Wo ist denn deine Handtasche? Hey. I don't get it. Sometimes I make jokes that are a little bit mean and people just laugh about it. I don't get it. I never actually intend to be nice. But, you know, sometimes I say things and I think they're mean and then people laugh about it. And sometimes I say things and I think they're nice and people get really angry. And that's the place what you have to understand where you're coming from. You know, if you're in a place of shit, in a place of shit, like really shit, like bleh, you know, that's just in yourself. And that's what you have to understand. You know, you may go into a city and you love it. Yeah, you know, oh wow, these signs make no sense. You know, it's just, oh yeah, now we come, number 4, that's the heart chakra, or so they say. You know, I don't know. You know, I also don't know why people hate fly agoric. They're just afraid of it. You know, they're afraid of consciousness. They're afraid of connecting with spirit. They're afraid of all of these things. And I cannot really say why I'm so, you know, I really try to keep women away from me. But I also don't really know how to open up to them. I believe that if you continue to meet, because I generally do not make appointments. Unless, of course, you know, there's stuff that you need to do and get done. But I generally do not make appointments. There were women in my life that I met. I tried to reconnect with them and they didn't want to. Oh wow, I love this. I love the energy of this forest. And that's just the energy also of autumn. It's the energy, it's that cooling. You know, the leaves fall and everything starts to slowly quiet down. A lot of energy is being dissipated. You've got storms. You know, the leaves fall off, right? You know, that kind of spirit, that kind of energy. We're approaching September now. I believe it's the 26th or 27th. I just finished the book Crazy Wisdom. I think I finished it. It's always this point where you say, you know, I basically introduced my readers to the concept of not being overly worried about typos, because if I read everything that I wrote, you know, it's not for me to read, you know, it's for me to write. If I cling to reading what I've written and I get off on it, you know, that's clinging. You know, I'm the guy who deletes the entire chat history. And if I think you need to let go of that as well, because, you know, I don't use, you know, I use Telegram, but I basically have no contact with anyone, at the moment at least. Upside down. You know, thinking about omens, what does that mean? I think it's a brown fly agoric. It's upside down. I don't understand omens that well. You know, I just met this young woman and I felt she was beautiful. Her spirit was beautiful. And she had this little really cute dog. And, you know, I said, "Where's your handbag?" You know? Before I would have hated such a dog, but this dog was so cute. And I don't even know if it was a baby or if it's just its, you know, if that is just its size. And I said, "Where's your handbag?" And she laughed about it. And now the question that I have is, could I be with such a woman? Could I be with such a woman? I mean, she clearly wants to have a child. Otherwise, I see no point of having such a dog. I once was on the verge of being with such a woman. Like, really. But we never consummated. this connection. And there's the question of whether or not something changes if you make a choice, right? You know, I've been talking about this, but now, you know, we're getting further ahead and further ahead and further ahead, and other things have happened, and this is one of the most important topics for anyone to listen to in terms of spirituality, is wrapping your head around whether or not you want to be in a romantic relationship with a woman or a man. You know, for me it's nature, so, you know, a man does not have a family with a man. I mean, it's not, you cannot build a family with a man. So we're talking about, you know, man, woman, child. Do you want this? Yes, no. You know, sometimes you say, no, absolutely not. How do you know that that's not fear? Sit quietly. You know, find a family that you like. It's probably better to look away from your own family because there's too much hate there. You know, look at just the idea, the raw, unemotional concept of family, of woman, of man, of child. Look at nature. Look at two birds caring for a chick. Look at bees buzzing around and then bringing the pollen back to the hive and then making food for the larvae and tending to the queen. You know, it's cute, man. It's so cute. I mean, look at puppies and dogs, and, you know, it's like, you know, there's basically, I mean, if you would look at a wolf pack, because we've basically taken that away from dogs. You know, there's even people who take out the placenta from dogs because they say, well, she could get cancer. Yeah, and surgeons make money with this kind of shit, taking out placentas. Well, maybe it's the food, and maybe if that dog would have had children, she wouldn't have had these problems. Because giving birth to a child actually can rejuvenate you, but you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself for this. Otherwise, you know, I've been at a birth already with a woman. It was not my child, which is why I could leave and she had to take care of it on her own. Because that clearly didn't work. It's just like, that was really repulsive, you know, towards each other. We were repulsing each other. She would have liked me to stay simply to help. But, you know, I don't know. I was in no position to take responsibility. And I was often wondering whether that could work out still. I do not feel attracted to her at all. And that's the truth. And I think if you do use Adderall, there's a way to get away from that. There's a way to drink less coffee. You know, the trick is to reduce it. But, you know, you also always know you can, if you want to. You can go into nature. And it's about transitions, and that's what the first song was about. It's the intermediary stages that, you know, now I'm probably at an intermediary stage. I'm here, it feels good. Because there's always a next step, which is why if I progress, you know, I'm never done. I'm never done. And when I'm done, there's no question about it anymore. But until I'm here, I'm never done. There's always, okay, I wrote the book now, or I already wrote it. I just had to put it together because these were all posts for Medium. And I've done rapé here. I miss rapé. But that's also the thing. You know, if I start doing rapé now, you know, I will not do it for the rest of my life, you know. I will. I'm sure of it. I like frappé. You know, if I think about my life, how it could be, and I realize, hey, there is no woman at the moment, and I accept it, and then I say, yeah, I get that. There's no woman at the moment. So what else could I have? You know, I could just go into a relationship with nature. I could just love nature. And if nature wants to give me a woman, I'm sure she will introduce me to her at some point. And maybe she already has. But, you know, clinging to that, however beautiful I thought it could be, or might have been, or whatever you think you know, may just be an image for something. It may just be a metaphor. You know, a woman like that exists. All right. Because, you know, when I was with this other woman before that, where I actually, first woman probably I did not have sex with. Yeah, I think that's true. That I, you know, like, you know what. And when she said, you know, she showed me an image, look at that dog, I would like to have it. For me it was, yeah, forget it. You want a dog like this? Why don't you want a child? I mean, you want a dog like this? This is how easy you give up on having a child? You just get a dog like this? Because you're afraid to give birth and to look for a husband? I mean, I've seen couples that suddenly get a dog like this, and I just think, I mean, that's not a dog. That's like a rabbit. And not like a rabbit, you know, that you find in nature, is like a bunny. You know, these dogs are just like bunnies, there's like stuffed animals. That's not a challenge at all. And if that's your challenge, sorry, but we're talking revolution here. I'm not sure you're fit for this. Because if your spirit is that gentle, yes, sorry, I don't want to spend time with you. And that's just what I think. Sure, you can grow with such a dog, but I just don't see, I mean, of course, if you get a dog to prepare yourself to be a mother or to be a father, that's something else. Not everybody's conscious about it, but that's how I would do it. You know, if I would get a dog, I would get one to teach me something. I wouldn't just get it because I feel lonely. Because if I feel lonely, I would learn to be okay on my own. I don't need a dog for that. Because if I get a dog for this, then I'll just run away from myself all the time. And everybody's different. I also get that. I have to pee, so I turn this off. Yeah. So I'm just starting where I've left off. I'm just making the most of my time because let's think about it. You know, I'm living quite an unusual life. It may be that I will meet the love of my life any day. And when I'm still stuck on creating a lot of content and I will meet her or meet her again, right? There's always that possibility if I manage to let go of all the anger. And I'm still in this place where I have to create a lot of content, then it's really hard to let go into the relationship and to just be together as man and woman and then focus on being parents. Because now what I'm basically doing, I'm learning to keep the work ahead of myself. I pre-create, and I pre-create so that when other things will happen in my life, you know, I know that this here is going. You know, I don't need to produce a lot of music that comes out every day, but if I want to, I can. YouTube is different, and I really like it. I really like it. which is why I'm making it a habit, I think, at the moment, where I simply keep producing. I try different things. I go to the forest and then I sing, and then I make art again. This is now probably almost the end of December, this video. This is how far I'm ahead. I'm on the 26th or 27th of August, and this video is somewhere in the end of December. And this is what I have to do to just make sure that it continues, because I'm just trying to be, I just try to think like a squirrel a little, I just bury my nuts everywhere, so that when it comes to it, I know I have a stack. Plus, it's also everything I have said already, I can say it again and I can build on it. So I make certain realizations and I hone my abilities. I know that I want to sing and I want to encourage people to also sing. But if I never sing, then how could I ever sing? I want to make music, and I'm not that good with instruments, but I'm very good with my voice, and I think I could work out maybe a keyboard, but I really like a cappella. I like my voice. If there's somebody that knows how to drum, be my guest, drum. I like to sing, and I only discovered that after already talking into the microphone for maybe a year or two. I started to sing. First I started with my podcast, and this is clearing my throat chakra. I'm cleansing my throat chakra, which is here, and it has the color of color blue, and it's connected to truth. It's about speaking truth, but also living truth. And if I want to be a truthful manifestation of my spirit, sometimes I have to say things. And that's why singing, because I can go around, I can shout at people. I've done that. You're gonna get, that's just because I just had to get things out of the way. People were right in my face and I just had to say, move away now. Do your own shit. Stop bugging me for information that I don't want to give you. You need to live your own life. I don't want to tell you anymore where I went. I don't want to say everything to you, because if you want to know where I went, why don't you just go somewhere? Just you go somewhere, and then you don't have to bug me. And I'm trying to be as least angry as I can be on this, and that's the same thing, I could sing all day now. I could sing all day, but at some point I also feel like now I want to talk. Can I explain this? Am I saying too much? No, because I like talking, and the more I talk now, the less I need to talk when I go to people, which is why I'm just on the way to my parents, right? Because my mother I could feel her already from a distance, how she was worrying about me. And then I turned off my phone for a couple of days because I was working on that book, and I was creating an insane amount of videos that really propelled me further into the future, if you want, or that just helped me to let go and to progress, which is what my content and art in general, and I consider basically everything I do as art. If my apartment is messy, I see it as art. Why do I see it as art? I see it as art because it's truthful. If I don't feel like cleaning, or I feel like I cannot clean, I don't clean. But I work on that until I get back to a place where I feel like cleaning or where I can clean, right? When my apartment gets so dirty, or I get so dirty, I was just last night, I finished the book, and then I think I worked on a video or something, and I felt so dead, like empty. I felt so angry, like ah! And I thought, well, maybe I should drink another coffee to push out the anger. Sorry, what now? Sorry, what now? Sorry, what now? You know, I was really, you know, I think like this. I'm not sure what coffee really does, but coffee is somewhat psychedelic, certainly, because, and that's a point that I constantly stress, I am psychedelic myself, you know. If I take psychedelics, or what we call psychedelics, they bring me to a place that exists within me. Because if I close my eyes and I retreat within, I see things. Where do these things come from? You know, I rarely, you know, if I take something and I walk around, I rarely have hallucinations, as you may call it, but I have increased vision. I see much sharper when I have ingested psychedelics. You know, everything's very clear. What I have to do in my life is very clear when I take psychedelics. It's like, oh yeah, spot on. That's what I have to do. You know, that's what I have to do now. That's my mission now. And then I get, you know, you could say down again, or the effect of whatever, the mediator between myself and myself. Yeah, it's, you know, I feel sometimes like King Boomy from the Avatar series, but that's okay. I mean, you know, that's what Terence McKenna said. You know, you don't have to be weirder than you need to be. Like, don't be weirder than you need to be, because when you are like me, you go into nature a lot, you are already weird to most people. Okay, let's talk movies. I'm just hammering you. First movie I have for you is Heidi. It's not just a movie, it's a story. And there's this guy, you know, this old bearded guy, and this is the man basically that Heidi falls in love with, you know, on a like fatherly level. I think she lives with him, and the Geisenpeter. The Geisenpeter! You know, that's not Bavarian or something, that's just like the Geisenpeter. No, it's the, you know, it's like a boy who herds the goats. And then you have the Almöli, and that's like an old man with a white beard, and he just lives in this hut, and he has the goats, and then Peter takes care of the goats. So Peter is basically a shepherd, or a goatherd. Without a goatee though, because he's too young, I assume. And everybody thinks, because this old man, he walks around in nature, he's a lot by himself, he speaks little, he speaks very little, and everybody thinks he's kind of grumpy and weird, just because he doesn't speak a lot. And that's the same thing you have these days. You know, this never changes. This will always be the same. You will have people that live in some kind of communities, and then you will have people that live alone somewhere in the forest. And the guy who lives alone somewhere in the forest is usually kind of weird, because he chooses to be by himself. He is in connection and in communion and in conversation with spirit, and that's where he would receive omens, he would understand weather, he would look at cloud formations and understand when it's gonna rain. Are we gonna have a storm? Is there trouble coming? You know, that's the shaman, that's the seer. This, I assume, does not have to be a woman. Not at all. But because I'm a man, or I think I am, yeah, I'm fairly certain. Yeah, my balls, that's what they show me, right? You're a man, you know? You're not gonna, you know, no child's gonna get nourishment from sucking your teeth, you know, other than maybe sweat. But nothing's gonna come out there, I think. But that's just what I'm saying. You know, it makes no sense to transgender maybe, because snip snip. But you know, for me there's no snip snip, because I've been born into this body, I accept it, you know, and then I live my life. You know, that's the easiest way to go about it. Because I cannot change this and think that, you know, I mean, my spirit of course still stays the same, but if I don't want to have sex, you know, I don't have to. Anyway, seclusion, separation. I stay alone because people are really weird. I mean, you just go to a city, it's like very chaotic, it's maddening, it stinks, it's hard to breathe, it suffocates you. But there are also nice parts if you know how to see them. But this, I mean, I can hear the noise from civilization. I can hear it from here. And that's several kilometers away. I mean, you are basically unable to escape this society thing. You can escape it, of course, but you have to work super hard for that. And so I just realized, you know, I will always be somewhat a part of this. So I will probably, I assume, need internet for the rest of my life. And I even like it, but I don't need it anymore to get access to information. Yes, sometimes, alright, maybe. But I could also, you know, sometimes I just feel like I just need to speed up the process. Just as I was playing Crash Bandicoot and I wasn't sure how to get the yellow relic, the yellow gem. And I didn't want to do the time trials because I just thought, bleh. You know, I remembered them as really annoying because you just have to rush through it. And then I looked it up and it said you have to do, you know, you have to get five time relics. And then I said, okay, you know, if I have to do it because I'm 100% in the game, and then I just sat down and did it. And I did do it under the influence of coffee, and that's a very interesting thing that I would like to talk about now, if you can still keep up. Wait, the second movie is The Tales from Earthsea, I believe. It's a Ghibli production. It's from Goro Miyazaki, which is the son of Hayao Miyazaki, which is the producer of treasures like Princess Mononoke or Mononoke Hime, Ponyo, On the Cliff by the Sea, and yeah, you know, Children of the Sea is not a Ghibli production, but it is one of the best anime out there. You know, I've already mentioned these. If you like it a bit darker, I've mentioned that one already also, Dorohedoro. It's a little like really dark, but the graphics are nice. It has its own style, you know, this kind of a bit like computer animated, but still looks like anime. Anyway, and it doesn't go like really nuts on, you know, the giant breasts. The main character has them. One of the main characters has them. What's her name? You've got Kaiman, and you've got Nikaido. Yeah, I just have to show that I've really watched it. No, I'm not making this up. Alright. In Tales from Earthsea, I think that's how... Nah, Earthsea? Earthsea? Yeah, I mean, it's a Ghibli movie. I don't know the exact title. There's also this woman that lives somewhere on some kind of place, like outside of cities. And she's like a, you know, you could say witch, you could say like a herb lady or a herb specialist. She knows how to treat people with things she finds in nature by making, I don't know, like drinks, concoctions, probably bombs that she can like, right? So, you know, honey, for instance, if you have your own, you know, if you are a beekeeper, you can make healing things, and you can heal people with it if you know how. But healing is also sometimes really uncomfortable. If you have an allergic reaction to honey or anything, well, you have to do some cleansing. You know, I never recommend, I just say what I did. I did an anorganic sulfur cleanse. Yeah, I'm so smart. Because if you recommend, then you have to take responsibility, but you have to take responsibility. And that's why I'm telling you what I did, and then you have to make a choice to do it yourself. Anyway, and there's this sequence where there's two villagers, two old women, and they go and they want something because somebody's sick, and then they're like, you know, they talk behind her back, and she still helps them because she's probably has this good nature, but they talk behind her back and they say, yeah, she's weird. And you know, that's something we have to understand as people who grow spiritually, who like to go into the forest, who are in communion with spirit, who talk with plants, who have knowledge about plants, who know how to, you know, make like, I don't know, things that heal people. They will find you weird because you've got, you know, the way they live, you've got nothing in common toward, you know, that's their perspective. They don't know how to engage with you because they think you're weird. Why do they think you're weird? Because you are already somewhere else. You know, I talk to people from a different place, and that's what I always stress on. You know, I've had conversations with people that wanted me to explain to them why I'm doing what I'm doing. I tried, and then I said, you know, you will not understand this by words because you're trying to explain it away. And I've tried to, but if I sit around trying to talk to you, you know, this is just for you. That's like your pastime activity. You know, you're just gonna ask questions, I'm gonna give you answers. But what's gonna change for you? You know, if you wanna change, then you have to actively think about what's going on, try to understand it, try to understand how you create your own misery, and then find solutions that work for you, because apparently my solutions don't work for you. Because I've tried to talk with a lot of people and tell them this is what you could do. You know, if you have problems with your back or depression, you could shower cold. You could go into nature in bare feet, you know, and just like transition into it, you know, intermediary stages. Now your feet are completely crippled, and in order to walk on terrain like this, you have to put in an insane amount of work. And until you get to the point where you can simply walk, now this is not what I would call super comfortable. You know, this is not like nice moss. This is a challenge. And if you know, just come from, you know, decades of wearing shoes, this will be torture, will feel like it. Whereas I would say your shoes are torture. You know, that's just how I see it. Because I've learned a lot simply by doing what I felt like. And I have a very strong spirit, a strong mind. You know, I'm quite determined, although I never realized it until I started looking how other people are. They say things, but they never do it. And I was often the same, just because I was saying things to please others, and I actually never wanted to do them. And then I started to readjust what I'm saying with what I'm doing, right? So if I do something, or if I say something, then I have to do it. And I said, I think yesterday I said to my mother, or the day before yesterday, yeah, I'm gonna come on Saturday. No, yesterday I said to her, I'm gonna come tomorrow. Today I didn't want to go. But what's a man? You know, if I say I come tomorrow, then I have to come tomorrow, you know? I can be relaxed about the when I come. You know, I say, you know, I call you now, you know, like, give me 2 hours. And it's probably gonna be 3 or 3.5 or maybe 2.5 or maybe 2, you know, I didn't check the time. You know, I also take the route that's still somewhat fast, but it's still a detour. It's not the straight line to my parents' place. It's, you know, meandering through the forest so that I can have quiet time alone in nature. Yeah, alone. Alone in nature, and get rid of my anger, you know, and then go back to everyone else and then feel calm about it, because I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, sometimes I don't know if people are going to confront me about things that I did or they think I did. And so it's also always, to me, a challenge to be amongst others, simply because a lot of people, they do not know how to be in this state of flow and peace, because they feel anger and they feel fear and they project it on their environment. I feel anger and then I say, I acknowledge that there is anger. I acknowledge that there is fear. You know, in the end, it's all the same. And then you just, you know, you can give a shape to it, which of course inspires my art. Now, I was going somewhere else. I was talking about movies, and I wanted to go somewhere with this, about the weirdness, about all kinds of things. Now, I could stop now. I know that very well. I could stop now, but I want to continue, because there's still a stretch. You know, I know how to walk. I figured out a lot of the secret passageways, because I just want to stay away from angry people and just go to the places that matter, where you can leave your energy and where it can actually, you know, grow, take root and stuff like this, you know. You know, that's how I feel. So, you know, let's just see. Yeah, I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. Maybe, you know, if you know what I said and you thought, oh, maybe can you talk about this a little bit more? Just figure it out then for yourself. Just say, hey, wait, there was something that he said, but he did not go into detail with this. If you feel like this sometimes, then what I can do is invite you or encourage you to just sit with this. Because I'm just here to bring up questions. I have a lot of answers, but you cannot expect me to have all of them. Just as you cannot expect your fathers to have all of the answers. You have to figure it out for yourself and accept who you are in all of this. And a nice way to do it, because I realize this oftener, that if I'm in nature, I feel much better after I have practiced to be in nature and to love being in nature. Because if I'm not used to being in nature, then being at home in my apartment feels really nice, like really super nice. But once you know how you could feel like after you've done your purification and stuff, then you don't really want to be at home anymore unless there is something to do, which is why I constantly simply keep myself busy. And I keep myself busy now because what I'm doing right now is basically homework. I'm doing homework So I practice, I said that already, I know that. I practice free speech, I practice flow states. I practice these things so I can talk about it, just like Terence McKenna practiced a lot with psychedelics. You know, he was like, you have to take psychedelics and then keep taking them. Yeah, there is a truth to it, but I also realized that you can do it without. But, you know, my history is one with psychedelic mushrooms, truffles, ayahuasca, even MDMA, LSD, that's it, cannabis, rapé, coffee, sugar, tobacco. You know, I have a history, pornography, of things, but I learned to simply, you know, believe me, I'm craving a lot of things. I have so many desires, and sometimes I'm afraid that I will stop having the desire. You know, I'm afraid that I will stop having the desire to take rapé because there was a time when I loved it. Such as I am afraid to stop loving women, or maybe one, right? You know, that's like when you're in a relationship and you realize that the love starts to fade away, and then you can try to hold on to it, but you cannot do more than the other one is willing to also invest. I mean, what I'm trying to say with this is, you know, I've been in relationships and I felt like I was trying to fight, I was giving it my best shot, but the other person didn't see it. And then they just, you know, I just stopped because I realized there's no point, you know, it's too late now. And that's just how it is then. It's just too late then. I can't help it. You know, I've tried in my own way. You know, there's a lot of anger I'm dealing with. And if you only see that anger, but not the rest, then, you know, if in the end you just sit around and there's nothing to say anymore, then you either start fighting, which is a struggle, or you stop. You either start fighting or you just move on to something else. And that's what I sometimes say to people, you know, they were married, they had children, and then these children grow up, suddenly they are not at home as often anymore, and suddenly the parents are alone at home, and they're just fighting. They're fighting over everything because they don't manage to get into communion with each other again. And sex is important in a romantic relationship, but so is hiking, so is just being in each other's presence. And, you know, if you're just communicating by shouting, or if you want to get attention and you simply, you know, what you do to get the attention is, you know, you try to rile the other person up, you know, because you think, yeah, I mean, this is an environment for toxic relationships. This is the best environment for toxic relationships. Noise, unbreathable air, people that are afraid and annoyed and that hate their life. That's how I feel a lot. I often sit at home and I feel also how other people feel, and then I say, I hate my life. And that's like one of my standard phrases that I'm trying. I don't have to get from I hate my life to I love my life, but I can get closer to it. And that's the intermediary stage that each of us can go through. You don't have to, you can just stay with I hate my life. But it's very hard to maintain. I mean, and so is I love my life. So when I hate my life, I hate my life. And then I do things that I like. And when I love my life, I mean, what's there to say? You know, I can love my life despite the fact that I hate my life. It's like, what? I mean, did he just say that? You know, I think I just got liberated. Yeah, you know, and I just ruined the moment for you. I just ruined the moment for you because I explained it to you And I took it away because I knew it might have that effect on you, and maybe it didn't. Maybe it did not have this effect on you. But some people, you know, why do people have fights? Because maybe they want sex. They want this deep communion. They want a deep, loving, long-lasting, harmonious relationship, but they just don't know how to get there. And then, you know, they just want an exchange. And what do they do then? You know, because they are, you know, unable, or they just haven't figured it out yet. And they don't want to because they feel righteous about, you know, it's not my fault that this isn't going. You know, it's his or hers. So they just pick a fight because they feel righteous. But what they actually want is, they just want to figure it out. They just want to figure it out. And then suddenly you have a fight. And because you want the fight. Because what is sex? It's a fight. And what is fighting? Well, it's a fight. It's just emotions. And you feel shit, and then you think, my partner has to take responsibility for the way I feel. And then you feel angry, and then, yeah, she doesn't have sex with me, or he doesn't have sex with me. Why doesn't she talk with me? You know, why is she silent? Well, maybe because she feels good. Well, but I don't feel good. So I'm gonna take that away from her. And then you go there and you start a fight. You pick a fight, and then, you know, your partner felt good before, and now your partner doesn't feel good anymore. And then you feel powerful because you could destroy that person's harmony, but you also feel ashamed. And, you know, then you have to maybe apologize. So it's better to just think about, you know, do you really want to go down that road and pick a fight over and over again? But the other part is also that if you are in a relationship with someone, your nature is always there, man. And that's what I'm saying now. You know, I don't need to be with a woman because I like myself. And if I'm struggling, I know I can do rapé, but I also realize and acknowledge that, just checking how long I still have. Shoot some letters. That was only 34 minutes. Felt like hours. Crap. Oh yeah, that was about the coffee. You know, I realized when I was, you know, that these things just come back to take you unawares, right? It's like, boop, you didn't think I was still talking about it. You know, I just let it go, and suddenly it came back. So that's of course what I sometimes think about relationships. Letting go is really hard. What I was trying to say about the coffee is, I was playing Crash Bandicoot, the third one, and I drank probably the third coffee during this day. And guten Tag. It got to, you know, I felt like everything was really fast, right? And I was talking fast and everything was so fast. And then I looked at the video afterwards and I thought, wait a second. Why is this so slow? Right? So when you eat a lot of sugar and you drink a lot of coffee or ingest, you know, like fuzzy beverages or eat a lot of gluten, you know, they change the way you perceive. You know, life is still going at the same speed. So if you take LSD, it's like, wow, the universe, it's like we're all connected, you know. It's the same with psychedelic mushrooms. You know, maybe it feels like very bad or it feels really good. But however it feels like, you know, this place has always been there. You know, the universe is always there. You can always see it, but it's just hard to get there sometimes. Because if you're like really far away from, you know, your center, you're just really left or you're really right, you can sort yourself out with psychedelics. But if you come from this society and you're used to, this is how I feel, you know, because you drink coffee, you think life is really fast-paced and it's running away from you and you have no time left, because that's the experience that you're creating by ingesting coffee. And that means, of course, there's a lesson to be learned here. If you want to understand how you feel like, you have to look at also how you think. And you have to pick up these fine differences. So you need maybe take a week or a month, maybe try a day first without coffee. First try a day, you will realize, oh wow, that's heavy. Try a week, yeah? Try 2 days, try a week. Try a month. I would suggest you just boom, go for it. Just say 1 month no coffee. Just see, just struggle, just like blah. It's so heavy, but then you just say I'm saying this to myself as well. I'm saying this to myself because what I often realize is that, I start drinking coffee, it's super nice and it's, I like it, but I feel terrible. I feel like, I feel toxic. I feel toxic, and this is why what I say, right? I walk around and everybody who sees me is so super friendly. I don't know why. Everybody who sees me is like, they have a smile on their face. But my perception is I'm an asshole. I'm vicious. I'm a real prick. I'm the cuntiest cunt that ever cunted its way out of a cunt and into existence and then back into cunts. That's just the way I feel about myself. Guten Tag. And it's strange because I really think everybody who sees me, must hate me. Everybody who sees me must probably hate me. But then they don't. And then they look at me and they look so nice. Like they really smile at me. And I don't say anything, I'm just walking here in bare feet. With my t-shirt, I have this cap. I feel like a crook. I feel like a crook who's just full of hate. Who just talks about this and that. But I don't get it. Why people would like me. And even after I've recorded all this content, and one reason maybe I feel like I've been rejected too often, but I also actually rejected other people. It's not that I've been rejected over and over. I also made sure that people would reject me. But that's my point. I can try to make sure that you will reject me, but if you really like me, you will never reject me. And that's what I say for relationship. That's why I continue saying in my head, I do not care. I don't give a shit. I care about certain things. I care about doing my work, my dharma or whatever. But if you're too stubborn or too stuck in feeling righteous, because I keep saying this, I don't give a shit how you feel. I literally don't give a shit. Because, if you were honest about loving me, you would seek the dialogue. You would say, I think we have to talk about this. You don't have to mope about it. You don't have to cry about it, but we all know that women are a little bit closer to tears. That's what they understand. If you cry as a man, women are like, oh, finally a man that has emotion. That's a real man. No, it isn't. That's not a real man. That's just something you think you can understand. I never cry. Not really. Not like you cry. Women, they like, oh, and there's also men that cry like this. Oh, it's like, get a grip. Get a grip. There's this very nice story from Carlos Castaneda where they talk about, my friend has a son, and the son is, he's like a really angry brat, and he just doesn't listen. He's just a complete prick, and he just doesn't listen. And then he asks Don Juan, what could I do? Well, that's insane. If you would tell that, of course that would that would sound as child abuse. And then Don Juan says, well, I can only tell you what I would do. I would pay someone else to wait for the child to pass by and then beat him up, you know, like beat the shit out of him. Yeah, I mean, it's still a child. You don't want to destroy the child. You just want to teach him a lesson. Guten Tag. You just want to say, hey, you know, you don't want to listen, you know, life will teach you a lesson. And then you maybe do that again, and then the father can be like, you know, suddenly, oh wow, you know, there's a man who does not beat me up. You know, that's the point. You know, there's a man that does not beat me up. Which brings me to the point, if you meet a woman or a man, you don't know what kind of shit they went through. You don't know if you meet a woman that has been beaten in relationships. But it may also be that she was only afraid to be beaten. And she may try, she may try to get you to beat her, just to prove to herself that men are vicious and evil and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, that's how people are. If you live in hell, you want proof that you're really in hell, because it's too hard to accept that, you know, this could be heaven. Because heaven is a perspective. You know, heaven is this. I mean, if you look at, let's say, a larvae, you know, it's like, you know, they basically have no form. You know, you like somewhere in the mud and like, and you're trying to grow out, you know, to outgrow everybody else. And you just sit around, you're like in the mud, like squealing around and, I don't know, eating feces or something and fighting with other larvae for survival. And then suddenly you're a dragonfly. And it's like, ta-da! And certainly, I mean, dragonfly larvae are indestructible, man. I mean, they have an insane appetite, you know. That's what I've been trained in. That's what I've been trained in. You know, that's like the really interesting thing. People drive around with a red Volkswagen Beetle, you know, like an old car. You see their hand, you know, they're both obese. You know, I'm just painting an image. I didn't really see them. It's just the image that I received. They're both obese, and they think, you know what? You know, I can look as shit as I want to, but as long as I'm sitting in this car, you know, I feel good about myself because the car is doing the job for me. Yeah, but as soon as you park the car, step out of the door, that car's gone. And until you sit in the car again, you have nothing to identify with. You may try to cling to, you know, I identify with, that's how I felt with, you know, that's how I feel when I drive around in the car. Or you identify with the feeling of having the car. But, I mean, there is no car. It's just a projection of yourself that's trying to make you feel better. While it's, of course, stupid to do that. So you can do these things if you want to. So I can cling to the idea that my beard is doing something for me, but I'm not, it's not an aesthetic. You know, I like the way that I look, that's not the point. When I watch how I record myself, I understand why people say I have blue eyes. But if I wouldn't record myself, I wouldn't know. And I still don't know how they see me. Because they don't just see me as, that's how I see myself. They see me as whatever, you know. Maybe they just see me as this sparkling ray of light, like, oh. Which is why, you know, most of the time I just judge myself. Quite often people think really positive about me, but I just judge myself. And I've met the same kind of people. You know, I've met people that are so deep in shit. And when I, you know, tell them I actually like you, they're like, yeah, it's impossible, nobody likes me. No, you just don't like yourself. And if I get too close to you, you literally get angry. And then you're telling me, stop. You don't even know what you want me to stop. You know, you don't even know what you want me to stop. Because to you, the idea Because if you're living too much in the left or in the right, you know, a one-sided perspective is what I'm saying, then you're forgetting that there's always the other perspective. So if you think you're an asshole for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Everybody has their own reasons to think that life is hell and they're an asshole. Then it takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience, and a lot of determination to learn the other perspective. And that brings me back to this other woman with this, you know, look at this dog, it's really cute. I was like, what the fuck? Why don't you get a real dog? Why don't you just get a real dog instead? You know, it just shows you what kind of spirit she has. You know, you want a child, like that's your deepest wish, and then you get a dog. Sorry. No. You know, it's either a child or nothing. You know, we have to learn to deal with ourselves. You know, the only reason that if I walk around in a city park and I'm afraid to step into dog shit all the time is because people use dogs to make themselves feel better instead of just holding their own ground. I mean, that's how it used to be. You know, people defended themselves, and then they started domesticating wolves, which is just taming them basically, and making the dog dependent on them, probably by feeding them, right? And you throw the dog a scrap, the dog comes. And then you keep giving food to the dog, and then the dog realizes, oh wow, you know, that's a pack I could join. They just give me food. You know, I'm not the first one to eat, so I'll never be the alpha, but you know, I'll survive. You know, and they actually treat me nice, they take me for walks, you know, they scruff my ears or something. I mean, for a dog or a wolf, yeah, I mean, if that wolf would have known, like, in I don't know how many hundreds of years, what that would turn into, he would have remained vicious. Because the human acted like, you know, I'm really nice. But he was just using. He started to change his environment, you know, through agriculture, while nature already provides. And if it stops providing, you know, then die. But then, you know, you want to survive. So you just push through. You just say, yeah, I'm not nature's bitch anymore. You know, I'm gonna like make sure that, you know, we're gonna prevail. You know, that brings me back to V for Vendetta. Nice movie. It's basically a picture of, you know, this society. England must prevail. He's not saying England, he's saying I have to prevail. And that's what you have to understand. A politician does not stand there for everyone else. He stands there because he wanted to be on top. But you have to realize that there is no real top. You know, I can get into higher states, but as high as I get, you know, if I want to get high, I also have to know how to dive. Because if I jump 100 meters into the air, you know, I also will fall 100 meters down again. And I can live my life in 50 meters height if I manage. But right, it's probably easier to see it like this. If you jump up, you're gonna fall again. So you think, you know, I'm just gonna be president. And that's what I like about Terence McKenna. You know, he has a very clear vision. You know, sometimes he talks about stuff which I don't, you know, agree with, or I just don't like it. I just think it's kind of weird. Why would you say these things? He was just selling a story that he liked, you know? He just wanted to, you know, play around with science a little and he wanted to be accepted also as a man of knowledge. But he also was laughing like, you know, they actually buy this shit. I mean, I can't believe it. That's actually, I think, how he felt like. They actually buying my books. You know, my God, how stupid are these people? I mean, they must be really desperate if they listen to me. You know, that's how he felt like. I don't think he ever thought he had anything to give until people really wanted it. And he says, there's some kind of example he gives of a man, like some kind of politician, let's say the mayor of something or the whatnot of something, and then he says, you know, people say, yeah, that man's the savior, and then he says, my God, I mean, do you have any idea what that man had to do to be in the position that he is in and to be re-elected over and over again? Like, I mean, you're like the crookiest crook around, but you're trying to whitewash it. Right? You're trying to act like you're not a crook so that you can stand on top, but you still have to be a crook because the system is corrupt. You know, it's not like it's all bad, but it is corrupt. Choices are being made by idealists that idealize industrial growth, that idolize industrial growth without seeing how far we're gonna fall. And you can see it from here. You know, nature will always catch us. It's just a question of, you know, how bad is it gonna get before we realize that? Because here in Lunatic or in Germany, you know, I've made it often a point, they planted a lot of spruce trees in areas that are absolutely bad for spruce trees in such high numbers. You know, spruce can grow here, but what we need here is like deep rooting, how do you call trees again? Folivore? No. I'm talking about trees, deciduous trees, you know, that have leaves and that lose leaves. Have leaves and lose leaves, and because nature is going to rest, that doesn't make sense. But what makes sense is to say, let's say, right, they thought we're boosting the industry, so we plant a lot of spruce trees. Well, a couple of decades later, you know, all the forests started to get really sick. You know, everything started to really dry out because the spruce tree cannot access deep water and it cannot bring it up, which is why everything gets drier and drier and drier until it's like really dry. And now they had to clear away acres and acres of dead trees and sold it to China or whatever. So, you know, you plant something and you boost it, but then comes the boom. You know, it's always a curveball. It's always a curveball. You think you found a solution, you know, something that's better than what nature could do? Yeah, plastic. You start doing plastic. Oh wow, what are endocrine disruptors? BPA. It's a substance that works like estrogen. You know, it's a softener. It makes things soft, and then it starts making your body soft. And that's what estrogen does. You know, there's men that take estrogen to have thicker muscles, and suddenly they've got breasts, and that's irreversible. Right? Maybe you could do surgery, but you know, naturally it's irreversible. And tough, man. You brought this about. Now find a solution.